Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is C-Man, Class CRV Man, Rusty 78609, Llano, Texas, at an RV park in a 17-foot casita travel trailer, and I said that with one breath. Beer 30, guys. I promise you, it's a Saturday afternoon. Here, it's a little warm outside. It's probably in the late 80s, high 80s, late 80s, same thing. And yeah, it's not too bad. It's a beautiful, clear day and all that. But anyway, enough said. Here's to you, here's to me. Should we ever disagree, here's to me. That's almost a dead soldier. It's almost finished. Anyway, I'll tell you a story, guys. I thought of one. And it just it even made me laugh. But anyway, enough said. When I was living in San Antonio at the ripe old age of about 24, 25, San Antonio, Texas, I got back from the service and stuff. Anyway, I was going to college and working whatever part-time jobs I could find to supplement my income, and had a wife that was working, that was making pretty good money then. We divorced years later. But anyway, I got a job with a company called Salad Master Cookware. Now, when they saw me, also making a fashion statement in my Gildan V-neck T-shirt, $2 a piece if you buy a package of 10 or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I was reading the ads in the newspaper, and I was always looking for anything that said you could make a lot of money because I needed it bad. Well, anyway, this one was basically said, "Get rich quick." Now, that wasn't exactly what it said, but you know how they promote sales jobs. Well, they caught this fish. Well, hell, I was dumb as a stick, man. First generation off a farm. Here I am in the big city, struggling to survive, driving a 1960 Ford Falcon station wagon with no window, and the exhaust pipe had fallen off on the street while I was driving, so I just put it in the back seat and let part of it hang out the window. So every time a police officer stopped me for making too much noise, I'd say, "Man, it just fell off." Anyway, and they'd always either give me a warning or just say, "Go on and get it fixed." But anyway, I applied for the job. I had to go to this high-rise penthouse building to apply for the job. That overwhelmed me right there. I had to go in this building and then ride an elevator up to the 9th or 10th floor. And it was an expensive place to live, and I knew that, and I knew I didn't fit in. But anyway, go in, and here's all these guys dressed in dark suits and whatever, and they had all these boxes stacked up. And anyway, of course, they hired me. They would have hired anybody that was breathing, but I didn't know that. They pumped me up pretty good, and they told me how the thing worked. And the way it worked was this. What they would do is they would select a section of the city, San Antonio, where the kind of the working class people live, and they would run an ad in the paper, and it would be, of course, targeted at that group, but it would say something like free wig with the first 10 responses to this ad, a free wig of your choice. Okay, and of course, whenever they ran that ad, the letters came in just by the hundreds. I mean, we'd sort them out on a table by the section of the city they were in, because we knew which section of the city they then knew which section of the city they made the most money in and made the most sales, of course. So anyway, once you got them all sorted out, then you would take a handful of those letters, and I'd jump in my old Falcon station wagon. I'd hide the exhaust pipe though, and drive into those areas. And I got a gnat on the table here somewhere. But anyway, drive into those areas, and I'd go up and knock on the door. Of course, I'd have on my best, whatever I had, which wasn't much. And I'm sure I looked like I just got out of a zoo. But anyway, I think I had a plaid sports coat. That was class. Unfortunately, the people I was dealing with didn't know much better either. So I would knock on the door, and the lady would open the door. I'd say, "Miss Smith, you remember this?" She'd say, "Yeah." "You won, you lucky dog. You and 500 others, But I didn't say that. And I'd have some wigs. I actually brought some wigs with me, no kidding. Anyway, I said, you got a free wig of your choice and a meal catered by us for you and 4 other couples. Yeah, and that was part of the deal. So you had to get more people in there because you could make 2 or 3 sales in one night, and a sale was $300, and out of that I made about $100. And believe it or not, that was a lot of money. And we'd do these things 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 nights a week. And so, anyway, the way the whole thing worked, of course, the lady, oh, I won, yippee, 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 and then I tell her, well, not only that, you got the meal for you. You just pick a night. We usually start around 6:30 or 7 when everybody gets home. We'll prepare the whole meal, serve it, do the whole thing, and we'll show you some Salad Master cookware, which you may be interested in. It's stainless steel, all top of the line stuff, easy clean, easy this, easy that. Everything a housewife would want to hear. And so then I'd make an appointment, okay? And then there was a guy that was above me that was training me, and boy, this guy, he did have a silver tongue. He was about 5'6" or 7, and dressed to the nines, always wore some sharp shoes, sharp clothes. He just completely overpowered poor folks, looked like a banker. Anyway, so the night of the party or the catered meal, I'd have to go to the grocery store and I'd get a roast and some other stuff, because you cook three things at the same time. You cook the roast in the bottom, some candied apples, and something else, all at the same time in this setup they had. And but anyway, and I was already shown how to do that, so I was like a machine. So anyway, what you do, you get that stainless steel pot real hot, and then you take that roast, whatever size it was, and just smash it in there, and the lady would hear it going, and she said, oh, that's going to stick like crazy. Well, you're right, lady, but I never told you that, because what happened then was, while I was cooking, or basically doing nothing, then the other guy was in the dining area or the living room, wherever, and he's talking to the people, just general conversation and stuff, but primarily about the cookware and how great it was, and how easy it was to clean up, which was total crap. But I'll tell you how that scam worked too. But anyway, so the meal would finally be cooked, and I'd serve, me and the other guy, we'd serve the meal and put it on the plates, whatever they had, and then I'd bring the cookware back into the kitchen, and then I would set that stainless steel cookware on the stove or oven, the burners, and I'd put water in and heat the hell out of that water till it was boiling almost, or boiling, and then let it sit, and after it had sat for about 30 minutes or so, everything then was pretty easy to get off. But if you tried to get it off before then, it was like no way, you understand? So anyway, so while they're eating, which the guy drug it out for about 30-45 minutes, the salesman over me, he'd talk about how great it was, start taking orders, because the people would buy the crap, and sometimes we'd make 3 sales in one night. I make $300 in one night. I mean, that was unfreaking believable. But anyway, the end of the story ends this. But anyway, so so anyway, then after the meal, of course, the housewife, the lady that got the wig, she comes in and she's going, okay, big dog, let's see you clean this mess up now. Anyway, so I'd say, oh, nothing to it, Mrs. Jones. Watch this. Yeah, naturally, after it'd been boiled and set in boiling water for nearly 45 minutes or so, it'll come off. You can get concrete off at that. But anyway, that's sure how you just wipe it up. That's it. It's done. And then you clean it up. So I'd set all the stuff aside and let it drip dry or whatever we did. Anyway, and so and then we'd run an ad about once. We'd run an ad about once or twice a month, because you'd get so many responses you couldn't get to them all. And if you didn't get to them reasonably quickly, then you'd lose them. Okay, so what we'd do, I think it was once a month. Maybe they'd run the ad and we'd get a whole bunch, and then I'd run out and make as many appointments as I could. Well, I was knocking down some real bread. The only downside was getting paid. You understand? The guy that was running it lived in Hollywood Park in San Antonio, big house. I mean, had a huge home. He was an absolute con scam bum. Okay, but he didn't know who he was dealing with. Old country boy here. It just came back in country. You gonna screw me? Anyway, enough said. But anyway, so I had a stack of money coming after about, I don't know, a month, and I asked about it. I went to the penthouse one day. I said, hey man, I need to get a little pay. Oh, here man. He just reached in his pocket and he said, here's a couple $100. That'll hold you till the payroll comes in. I didn't know any better, so I took the money. Hell, that's a lot of money to me, $200. But it seemed like the payroll never quite came in. You know what I mean? It was always, oh, here's a couple $100, payroll's coming in, payroll's coming in. Well, after 2 months, you know, I'd probably made, hell, a couple of $1,000, all right? And I wanted it, and I wanted it now. So guess what I did? I didn't take the mind changer, because my mind was already changed. And I went out to this guy's house in Hollywood Park, and I knocked on his door. And he came to the door, and he said, could I help you? I said, yes, sir, you damn sure can. I came to get my check or my money now. Oh, I don't have that here. He said, no, that's coming in next week. I said, mister, you've been telling me next week for 8 weeks. We're done with next week. I said, go in there and write a check now for the amount you owe me, and we're done. Otherwise, we got a big-ass problem. Anyway, so he thought about it a second. I wasn't bluffing. I was not leaving there without a check. If I had to call the police or kill him, whatever I was going to have to do, I say kill him. I wouldn't kill him, but I knew I could beat the crap out of him. And so anyway, he got the message, and so we go inside, and he said, how much we owe you? I said, well, according to my records, what it was, $2,100 or whatever it was. And he said, well, do you have any cookware? I said, yeah, I've got 3 sets in the back of my Falcon. And he said, well, let me have those. And I said, okay. I said, why you want them? He said, because you're through. I said, I know I'm through. I'm damn through. I'm through with you and all this scam. So anyway, got hauled the boxes back in, and I was afraid the old guy was going to go for a weapon. That's what I was thinking. Hell, he put me off on a stall to go get stuff out of the old station wagon. But anyway, I brought it back in, and he handed me a check for exactly what I'd asked for. No questions asked. And I said, okay, now one more thing I'm going to mention before I leave here. I'm going straight to this bank, and if this check isn't any good, I'm coming back. And you're not going to like what's going to happen then, boy, because I had a chip on both shoulders. I had an attitude. It wasn't even the same guy you're talking to here, man. I wasn't happy. And anyway, and I didn't care. See, that's another thing. That's a bad situation to be in. When you're dealing with somebody that just doesn't care, you got a problem. But anyway, he knew that, apparently. So anyway, I go to the bank, and went to the drive-up window and had to show him my driver's license and stuff. Counted it out, into the problem. But let me tell you, there were several other guys that was working with that group that really got scammed big time. You know, that next week, and then guess what happened? They left San Antonio, Texas, just like that. You couldn't have found it. You couldn't have found those people in the universe. I made it by about 2 weeks. All right. But anyway, enough said about that. So whenever you get into these things, but the thing that put them out of business, back then, you could write up a contract, because we actually had contracts, and they were binding. They were binding contracts. And so anyway, we'd write up a contract, they signed it, and I think they put down a little deposit, not a whole lot, but it was like $300 a set, and that was a lot of money in 1972, or 1970, I guess it was. Anyway, and but shortly after they scammed out of San Antonio, they milked all the cows they could milk in San Antonio, then they moved out. But guess what happened? They went to another part of Texas. Well, Texas passed a law, and I can't remember what it was called, but anytime you pressured somebody into buying something, they had 72 hours to get out of the deal. In other words, the contract wasn't binding until after 3 days or 72 hours had passed. Well, that completely put them out of business, because if these people had 72 hours to think about it, all of a sudden mom and daddy are going to say, hell, $300 is a lot of money. Why don't we just cancel that order? And they did. They did, and they did, and they did. And I can't remember the name of that law in Texas, but anyway, that's one of the things I got into, and I'll end this video pretty quick. But one other thing I did while I was going to college, I worked at a place called Automotive Research, the graveyard shift, 12 to 8, and yeah, it was tough, because I had a 9 o'clock lab at the college. But anyway, it worked out okay. I don't know how I did some of the things I did, but I did. I guess when you're determined, you can't hold it. I need to refresh. But at Automotive Research, they tested engines. They put them on test stands. Had a drive shaft that went into this. I can't remember what it called it, but it could put pressure on the drivetrain to make it simulate driving a car or pulling a truck or whatever. And yeah, and I had like 6 engines running at a time, and every so many hours, or every so often, you had to take a test. You shut down the engine, pull it down, and then you would drain so much oil into these vials and mark the time, and whatever the test required, and put that aside. So you were pretty busy all night, but usually once you got all 6 of your engines running, you was okay. And it was a really crappy job. It was hot, god dang. In the summers you couldn't even breathe, even at midnight, man. When I got there, I'd walk in, they gave us salt tablets. Remember the old salt tablets? You go up there and crank the salt tablets out into your hand. They tell you to take them. They weren't good for you, I'll tell you that. I might have taken 1 or 2. I didn't take many. But yeah, you'd come out and you'd have sweat on your clothes, the lines of salt all over you. Yeah, it was a sweat box. But anyway, that was another thriller I had. And then after that, I really moved up into the world. I went to work as a janitor at a pet shop. That was my peak. That's no kidding, man. And it was in North Star Mall in San Antonio, Texas, and it was called the Pet Pantry. Hell, it may still be open. The guy that owned his name was Fred Fry. And I remember I'd been there for about, 3 months. I was doing a good job. I cleaned the aquariums and mopped the floor and, odds and ends. Sometimes I'd help out in sales and stuff. And I did a good job. I knew I did. And anyway, he called me in one day and he said, "Rusty, I want to tell you you're doing a damn good job. I'm proud of you." He said, "You're probably the best guy we've ever had, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to give you a nickel an hour raise." I thought, a nickel an hour? Are you shitting me? Damn, I work 20 hours a week. That's $4 a month. Yo! A nickel an hour. Anyway, his name was Fred Fry. Hello. Anyway, enough said, guys. From Central Texas, here, let's have another swaller. Enjoy your... I'll post this tomorrow, so enjoy your day. And it's a fun life, guys. When I look back sometimes, I wonder how I survived. That's the damn truth. But anyway, I know how I did. Cerveza. And that's my first one too, guys. But anyway, if you guys really want a good career, go with Salad Master Cookware. You can't miss. If you're running, because it's almost like a pyramid in a way. But anyway, adios, amigos. Adios, bye bye. I've got a couple. I got two patrons now, I guess you'd call it. Anyway, and and I use the Amazon link. Drink plenty of water, stretch, walk, keep your health. However you got to keep your health, just do it. Stand guard at the door of your mind. Use your titanium cranium. Adios, bye bye. Till next time, which will be in the morning. Well, which will be, adios, bye bye.